Hello, folks. Welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while since I made a video, but today I've decided to make a little kind of review of the first season of a TV show I really enjoy, and this TV show is called Smallville. Now, Smallville is an American TV show, a superhero TV show that began airing on the WB in 2001, the pilot episode having aired on October 16, 2001, and the last and final episode was aired on May 21st, 2002. So this is the first season of Smallville, basically in a nutshell. What is it about? So the first season of Smallville introduces us to the main character, Clark Kent, aka Superman. But this is before he becomes Superman, right? This is kind of the legend, the Superman mythology. As Clark Kent goes to high school, he's a freshman in this first season. This is before he becomes the superhero everybody knows him to be, right? So it's pretty much like a prelude or something like this, a prelude to what happens, you know, that is going to make him to give birth to the superhero he later on becomes, right? So this is Clark Kent. Obviously, goes to school with his friends. His best friend Pete, Ross, and Allison. Um, Chloe, right? And he also has a crush on Lana Lang, right? Who is basically going out with Whitney Fortman, a jock who he doesn't really like that much, right? But yeah, he's trying his level best to, to be respectful, to be considerate. But yeah, this is pretty much how the first season begins. It's kind of, the episodes are formatted in such a way that it is a monster, a freak of the week kind of, you know, format, right? Every episode, Clark Kent is basically going to be facing somebody who's been affected by meteor rocks, who's suffering the effects of meteor rocks after the meteor shower in 1989 that happens in the pilot episode as you have, this big meteor shower. And this is how Clark Kent, happens to, you know, land in Smallville, right? Kansas, right? So then he is basically taken up by Martha and Jonathan and Martha Kent, who take him up, who adopt him as their son. But yeah, there's something about him. Obviously, he has some superpowers, and in this first season, basically, there is he's going to be kind of tapping into his powers, like X-ray vision in episode 4, super speed. There's something that he has. He has a lot of powers, right? And in this first episode, I like how it slowly kind of develops as he is basically encountering many different situations when he's going to basically, have to use these specific powers. They're just gonna happen like this, right? So the first season of Smallville was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. It's not exactly, the most eventful in the show because this is just the beginning, right? This is how it begins. But nevertheless, it was a pretty awesome kind of ride that I really enjoyed. So I guess this is a good way to begin any action show. And this was a good introduction to the characters as well, right? And especially during that year, 2001, 2002, there were many shows, especially in the WB. You had Charmed, right? You had Buffy the Vampire Slayers. The Vampire Slayer. You had so many other TV shows that were kind of airing, on Prime and so on and so forth. But Smallville definitely, proved itself to be a good TV show as it went on for 10 years, right? So it was pretty impressive even back then, right? To have a show that lasted for so long and which was very successful. So Smallville is definitely one of my favorite TV shows of all time. And I really like the whole Clark Kent kind of mythology. And Tom Welling, who plays Clark Kent, did an awesome job. And also, I didn't mention, but there's Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor, who is basically his best friend, who is a billionaire, who basically, I don't want to spoil too much or anything, but yeah, Clark Kent is kind of going to, you know, spoiler alert, I have to say it, he's going to save him from a car crash. And basically, the two of them are going to become, pretty close, like two brothers, right? And Lex Luthor is played by Michael Rosenbaum, who is an awesome actor as well, who I really, really enjoy as he plays in the show. He's really, really good in this in this role, right? So I really, really enjoyed his performance. And pretty much everything about it is pretty awesome. Also, this TV show was created by Alfred and Garth Miller, if I'm not mistaken, who actually wanted to work on a Batman kind of, originally, a Batman origin story, right? Backstory. But basically, with the movie called Batman Begins, if I'm not mistaken, they basically, dropped the idea. And I'm really glad that they went for Superman because there's so much to explore, right, in the Superman mythology. Much more, I believe, than in any other superhero because it's so vast, right? The potential and all the comics and so on and so forth. So I'm really glad that they went for Superman. But yeah, this is DC Comics, by the way. Most of you don't really, most people like Marvel better, but DC Comics is pretty awesome too. And Smallville kind of put Superman in the map, right? I mean, you had the cartoons, but when Smallville began, when I started watching it, I really, really loved it. So it really made me it. I found out that I had a specific appreciation for the Superman lore, right? So I'm really, really grateful. So yeah, going back to the season at hand. So yeah, many things happen. It's pretty much a freak of the week kind of format, as I said, up until the very end. You learn a few things about the characters at some point. You have some episodes which are really good. My favorite ones being, the pilot, I really enjoyed with everything that happens there. Clark Kent coming into Smallville, his first, his high school adventures. Then you have another episode that I really liked. It was Zero, season 1, episode 14, when you learn about Lex's past and something that happened in a club, which ended in a pretty graphic way, but I let you find out for yourselves what it is. I don't want to spoil too much or anything. And then you have the final episode, Tempest, the 21st episode of the first season, where you have the twister, and something is going to happen, and you have this big cliffhanger in the end. But yeah, Smallville, the first season is pretty good. So if I were to rate it on a scale from 1 to 10, I'd definitely give it a 7 out of 10. It's a pretty good way to start any show. And even though some of it might seem a little bit cheesy to some, I think that this is the beauty of it, right? It's really, really good the way it begins, the way it progresses, the way it evolves. It doesn't feel like it's a show. It feels like it's not just a show. It is one of the best shows ever made, in my opinion. And I really liked how everything is shot. The scenery is beautiful, everything. So Smallville, the first season, yeah, like I said, 7 out of 10. I really, really enjoyed this first season of the show. And if I were to basically recommend it, I would definitely say, yeah, you go ahead and watch it. It's so eventful. Yeah, it can be slow, so to speak, at first, some episodes, but I don't think that it is any issue for anybody because, it's still, it's not slow. It's just in comparison to the later seasons, perhaps, but there's still a lot of fun to be had in this first season. So please watch it if you haven't already. Definitely recommend it. Also, I didn't mention it, but there's this podcast that is hosted by the two main actors, Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum. It's called Talkville. It's available here on YouTube for free, and they basically are reviewing kind of every single episode that they worked on, and I really love their work. So if you're not familiar with this channel, please check it out. I'll try to link it in the description down below. But yeah, check out their work and support them. They're awesome actors, very talented and very humble. So yes, Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum are really good actors, and to this day they're still being recognized for their awesome job in the TV show known as Smallville. Thank you for watching, and please let me know in the comment section down below what you thought about this first season of Smallville. There's so much more to say, but for time's sake, I'm just gonna end it here, and then we'll see if maybe I'll make some other videos. But this is the short version of the first season review of Smallville. Thank you for watching. Bye bye. Take care.